Yes, my friends, welcome back. 3 bats of stories to break down today. Today, we bid our final farewells to N'Golo Kante, who has completed his medical with Ittihad and is set to leave us. Very sad day. To move on, we discuss Inter Milan and we talk Loftus-Cheek, Koulibaly, Lukaku, Onana, plus a lot more. And to end things, we have some very interesting developments around Kai Havertz and his potential Real Madrid move. So right now, my friends, some of the things to break down, discuss, and get into. I want to be quick with things. You know what to do if you like the video, and if you don't, I'll work harder for next time. But before we get into things, my guys, I have one special announcement to make first. Today's video is sponsored by Chelsea's official betting partners in Parimatch UK. Parimatch are currently offering new customers 35-1 odds for Man City to win this year's 2023 Champions League final. Now, to claim this promotion, you must create an account and opt into this promotion. Make a deposit via debit cards and place a pre-match bet on Man City to win the final within 90 minutes. Now, all the links you need are provided in the description below. Thank you to Parimatch UK for sponsoring this video. So right now, there's only one story that we can discuss first, and that is N'Golo Kante. Wow, I feel like this summer in particular is like an end of an era for many players. Like, we're seeing many of the greats retiring this summer, and we're seeing many of these greats securing the bag elsewhere. Things have accelerated so much over these past 48 hours around N'Golo Kante. You know, back then, Al-Ittihad, Al Nassr had set reps to try and hold discussions over the availability of Kante. But I guess with the incredible offers at their disposal, now that they're being funded by the Saudi government, who can rightfully say no or turn down offers of this magnitude, I'm not too sure. But currently, N'Golo Kante has completed his medical with Al-Ittihad and he will be signing a 2-year contract worth 200 million euros. Now, in terms of the wage structure, this will include things like, image rights, commercial deals, creative portfolios, whatever that means. But I think realistically, a lot of these new signings will be like ambassadors for Saudi Arabia. Right now, there's a bit of a revolution happening with Al-Ittihad. They've just signed Karim Benzema. It seems like Wilfried Zaha is the next player they're set to sign. If you're Saudi or a fan of Saudi football, these are incredibly exciting times for you. And to be fair, that Club World Cup game we played against Al Hilal, I feel like they were a very good team. Like, they gave us a good run for our money. It was a very good competition, and seeing how they performed against us, seeing how Saudi Arabia performed in the World Cup. I mean, I was there when they beat Argentina, and like the energy, the electricity, like the fans, it was absolutely crazy. So it is starting to feel like the Saudi League is the next league that's about to blow. I mean, clubs have access to this amount of resources and wealth that's literally coming from their government. I mean, that creates special things, and unfortunately, that means that we say goodbye to N'Golo Kante. Now, let's keep things real. He did have a contract extension offered to him, but since his recent injury, Paul Winsley took that away and basically stalled the deal. But let's be honest, when you're receiving life-changing amounts of money like this, I mean, has Kante earned up to this contract worth throughout his entire career? I'm not too sure, to be fair with you, but to think you could earn this type of money over 2 years, and then potentially you could still come back to Europe, or maybe you extend your contract with them, you still have options open to you once your 2-year contract is over. So no one realistically could turn down money like this. And to be fair with you guys, like, this is a very fitting send-off for a player like N'Golo Kante. One of the game's most humblest players, one of the game's most focused, professional, world-class players at that as well too. I'm personally going to be a bit sad that I'm not going to see him here for next season. Now, injuries at this football club have not worked in his favour now for like, 2-3 years. A part of me is going to feel like we essentially created this issue, and that's because so many managers desperately needed Kante to come back into midfield, and I feel like he was constantly rushed back time and time and time again, and it's impossible to like maintain that level of fitness and health in your body when you're constantly being rushed back all the time. So I feel like we've kind of undermined our asset in a sense, but I have to say that it's been a massive privilege to have N'Golo Kante at our football club over these past 7 years. One of the greatest signings in our history. I'll forever be thankful for his impact in that, 2021 season Champions League campaign, where without this guy, and I'm going to say this to the day I die, we don't win the tournament. For me, it's one of the best individual campaigns any players had in the Champions League, Maybe carrying Benzema, I think, comes to the same level, but Kante was securing Man of the Match awards for fun in the most crucial knockout games in that tournament. And literally, without his influence and impact against Man City, where he absolutely destroyed their midfield, kickstarted attacks for us for fun, protected our defense as well too, plus those masterclasses against Real Madrid. These are some of the greatest individual performances I've seen, and it's been a massive honour and privilege to watch Kante playing for us, giving us his best. And I have to keep saying it, but it's a massive privilege and honour that Kante has represented our club, and he will remain part of our history forever. Thank you, Antonio Conte, that you picked Kante over Nainggolan. Kante commanded the respect of every top-class manager. I mean, Thomas Tuchel absolutely loved him. I think after that game against Man City in the Champions League final, he kept stressing how key N'Golo Kante is, a reference that he's our De Bruyne, our Salah, our Mbappe. I think it'll be very difficult to replace him, but there are some options available in the market, and I think right now, if there was one player that could be that potential successor to Kante, or even become his own player in his own right, that would be Moises Caicedo. So I guess Kante's sale now frees up the wage bill and frees up the opening now to reinforce the midfield right now. Now, before I end things, I do feel like because someone like Kante is leaving our club, I need to make some fitting content for when he eventually departs, and I'm going to be doing some reaction videos on his best games, and I'm going to do like a video discussing the top 10 Kante moments at our football club, because I need to treat him with respect, and I wish I did that for Eden Hazard at the time, but I'm not going to make that mistake now with N'Golo Kante. So my friends, before we move on, I want you guys to share your favourite N'Golo Kante moment and let us know in the comments below. So right now, let's move on to the second story, and let's discuss all the latest developments surrounding us and Inter Milan. Now, as we already know, once the Champions League final is over this Saturday, things will finally start to kick off between both clubs. We are interested in Martinez and most importantly Andre Onana, and Inter Milan have interest in Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Koulibaly, as well as Trevor Chalobah. Now, in terms of Romelu Lukaku, he wants to remain at Inter Milan. I think that's common sense. Pochettino still wants to talk to him. Who knows what happens with that one, but I think right now, I don't see Lukaku returning back, and I see him remaining at Inter Milan. Now, any moves we make involving Inter Milan players coming our way will be completely separate from Lukaku. Right now, Inter Milan want to sign him on another loan, but this time they want to pay less than the original 8 million euros that they paid last summer. My thing is though, what if Lukaku dramatically affects the final in Inter Milan's favour? What if he scores or assists? Or what if Inter Milan win the Champions League this weekend? They must have the money to sign him permanently, and I'd like to hope that if that was the case, that we could negotiate some business to make sure that we're actually selling him on a permanent deal. But that's Lukaku out the way. Let's discuss the news around Andre Onana. Now, if there was one goalkeeper this summer I am desperate for us to sign, that would be Andre Onana. Now, I actually saw him play live in Qatar in the World Cup, and one thing that was just so evident to see is this guy's composure and class on the ball. And I still repeat this a lot, but I can't believe that Song, the head coach of Cameroon, was telling a guy that grew up through the La Masia system, that played for Ajax, that's playing at Inter Milan, to stop playmaking out from the back. That's what this guy's about. And I think, in my opinion, he's one of the best goalkeepers at playing out from the back, and I think he would really boost the quality of our overall game if we can bring him to this football club. So Onana definitely has my seal of approval, but Inter Milan have slapped on a 60 million euro valuation, which makes a lot of sense because this season Onana is one of the top goalkeepers in Europe. Now, we have a valuation of 40 million euros on Onana, and we're kind of hoping that Inter's interest in either Ruben Loftus-Cheek or Trevor Chalobah could in a way help us bring the overall cost down to sign Onana. Currently, Inter Milan need a more physical presence in midfield, and that's why they have their attention now on Loftus-Cheek. It seems like his move to AC Milan is potentially close to collapsing, and that's because Milan, out of nowhere, has sacked Maldini and other key figures in the boardroom, and Maldini was playing a very crucial part in persuading Ruben to sign for AC Milan. But Ruben's going to know he has a ton of interest from Serie A right now. You know, Milan, Inter, Juventus, and most importantly, Sarri of Lazio. Right now, we want 20 million euros plus bonuses, taking the overall deal to around 25 million. Inter Milan, though, are keeping their options open. And this afternoon, there was a photo taken of, I think, Inter Milan transfer officials and Sassuolo transfer officials holding potential discussions over Fratesi. So it'll be very interesting to see where Ruben eventually ends up. But currently, we're either going to sell him and receive good money, or he'll be offered in exchange for someone else. And obviously, another player that fills the same bracket currently is Trevor Chalobah, with Inter Milan holding discussions with Chalobah now for over 12 months. They came close to signing him last summer on loan. Todd Bowley turned that deal down. But right now, because we have an abundance of defenders on big contracts and deals, some defenders have to be sacrificed. And it does seem like whoever gets the maximum value for us will be set to leave. So that could be Chalobah, who wants to get first team football potentially and secure his national team spot for the Euros next summer. And another player could be Koulibaly. Now, I'm a fair guy. Well, okay, I try to be as fair as possible. And you guys know that I was very critical of Koulibaly last season. But for the second half of the season, he was getting better. And I was acknowledging his improvement. And I felt the way he started and ended were two completely different seasons in that sense. Koulibaly, ideally, he wants to remain here. He wants to prove himself. And to be fair, he could be very difficult to release because he's one of the highest earning players at the football club. He's earning nearly like 300,000 a week. It's crazy money. But if he can maintain that standard of performance he was showing near the end of last season, maybe we give Koulibaly another chance. But regardless, ideally, we prefer to loan him to Inter Milan with an option to buy at the end. And in doing so, of course, bring Onana our way. So that's currently the latest discussions involving us and Inter Milan. Once the final's over, we'll have even more info coming out. But one thing I am personally hoping for is that we do sign Andre Onana. I think that he's a bit underrated. I feel like when you actually see him, you understand this guy's class for yourself. And I think with his ball playing, composure, shot stopping, the passing out from the back too, this guy's a special goalkeeper. So that is the second story out of the way. Let's end things with the final story, and we have more updates surrounding Kai Havertz and Real Madrid. Now, over the past 24 hours, there have been some reports circulating that Madrid might be pulling out the race to sign Kai Havertz. And that's because they're casting their attentions now on Harry Kane of Tottenham. But there is some context provides. Number one, Madrid feel like if they were to sign Harry Kane, that will be separate to Kai Havertz. And the reality behind signing Kane is that this deal could go right to the end of the transfer window, and then things become very risky. Currently, Ancelotti is a massive fan of Kai Havertz, and of course, guys like Toni Kroos and Rudiger, international teammates, are giving that seal of approval to get Madrid to sign Kai Havertz. They like his profile, his elegance, they like his improvements physically as well too. And Havertz naturally feels that Madrid now is the next step up in his career. So it seems like right now, the ball is in Real Madrid's court. Now we've slapped on a figure of around 75 million in terms of valuation, but I don't know how concrete this final figure is because some reports are still saying, like especially in Spain, that it's more 60 million plus add-ons on top, which could be like the most realistic way that they end up buying him. But Madrid have a cunning plan in their favour. This summer, Madrid want to do crazy things. They're close to signing Bellingham. They want Kai Havertz. They want Harry Kane. And on top, they still want to sign Alphonso Davies. And their plan for Kai Havertz is to use his interest and willingness to sign for them against us. And they want Havertz to be more forceful to engineer a move away from us. Now, I find this story kind of interesting because one thing that clubs are going to understand is that we are desperate to sell players. This summer, up to 15 players could leave, and they include first team stars, loan guys, and of course academy players too. Now we do have a willingness to also keep Kai Havertz, with Pochettino also being open to working with him, but as we all know, currently everyone has a price, and we must generate as much money as possible to help us sign new players for Pochettino. So I've always felt like clubs are interested in our players will kind of play them against us because there's only so much money we can ask for. How aggressive can we be in our stance to maintain that we only want like 70 to 75 million when we need to sell like 15 guys this summer? I don't see how it works out in the long term, especially when we have to sign players right now. So it's a very interesting one. So my thing is, let's hope we get these negotiations right for Kai Havertz. There have been some interesting stories involving us being linked with Valverde. And now that Madrid have Camavinga, Tchouameni, Bellingham coming in, Kroos and many others, could there possibly be an opening to do some business to sign Valverde in the other direction? time will tell. And if reports are more concrete around this story, then of course I'll discuss it later on Blue Lines TV. So my friends, right now I'm going to end things, wrap things up and keep things moving. Thank you for watching. I'm the EFC. This is Blue Lines TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.